We got a very special guest joining us right now, a dear friend and comrade sister, as we preview the women's convention coming up this coming weekend. We look forward to that. I will be there at the women's convention, and we're gonna bring as much of that to you as we can via social media. So be sure to be tuned in for that. Um, we again have a very special comrade on board with us. She is going to be a part of the women's convention. She is none other than the great and wonderful Erica Ford of Life Camp. Erica, good morning. How are you?
Peace. Good morning. I'm good. I'm good.
It's a pleasure. You looking forward to the women's convention?
Yes, I'm looking forward to the women's convention.
Tell us about what you're going to be involved in. You're going to be doing a panel or a workshop or what?
Yes, the gun violence prevention panel on Sunday. And so definitely hope everyone who's listening comes out on Sunday and participates as we continue to bring first the question of gun violence prevention, that it didn't start at Sandy Hook, and that, although we our hearts pour out to the death of those children and that massacre and all the massacres that happen around the nation, but in our community, just as I was involved in dealing with 3 shootings in 20 minutes here in my community yesterday, that these shootings happen every day, and the trauma of violence impacts our children every day, and that the same attention and the same resource and research and dollars have to go into our children and the importance of their lives and the importance of the systems that we've created to help resolve this craziness of gun violence that exists in our community and from the system of violence that comes from the top down.
What role can women play at a women's convention, Erica, when it comes to gun violence? I mean, we talk a lot about women's issues and feminist issues. Uh, Tie that in with the issue of gun violence, if you would.
I'm gonna tie it in from where I stand, and that is the space of these are your children. And these are the children that you give birth to, and these guns are also in your house because these children are not. They don't own their own house. They don't own their own cars, and so as mothers, as grandmothers, as aunts, as sisters, we need to check our children's book bags. We need to check their rooms. We need to check their social media. We need to guide their conversation so that they're not involved in things that we find out when it's too late that causes danger to their life. And then, we look at the other side of gun violence, when we look at domestic violence, when we look at suicide, that the trauma in relationships, the trauma in people's own life that causes them to go pick up guns, that we need to help people heal. And so how do we do that? And how do we come together to help our communities heal from the pain that they're feeling that even makes them turn to a gun, that turns to these hostile relationships that they're in, that they say it's okay to stay in, or they get, it becomes a habitual habit, and we stay in these relationships that are demising to our life, or our children's lives. And so we have to help each other heal.
Erica Ford with us. I wonder, Erica, dealing with gun violence and gun violence issues in the way that prevention in the way that you do. And folks, 20 minutes past the hour, give us a call, 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748 as Erica Ford previews the Women's Convention of Life Camp. I'm reminded of Spike Lee's movie, Chirac,
Mhm.
and the role that women played in that, and that was based on the Greek play. I
Mhm.
really have to wonder because if women decided that we're done with this, we're
Yeah.
done with violence, we're done with gun violence, we're done with glorifying it. I wonder if that literally would change the situation overnight.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, we love you, brothers, but we control your lives. Without a doubt, Mark, it would. And it's going to be the end to all. No, it won't. But it will definitely make a dramatic impact. And so that's why when you look at society and just what is going on, it's important for them to try to control our minds and try to break us up as families and break up our value of importance and strength. And as women, we are very powerful, and we can change the trajectory of what is happening to our men and our children if we see that value in ourselves. And I just want to say, in New York City, we created a system called the New York City Crisis Management System. Tamika Mallory and A.T. Mitchell and I, working together in our own lanes, came together and created the system and made the city listen and implement it. And it started with 5 sites and $4.5 million. And now it's 18 sites getting ready to be 20 sites and over $24 million. And it is working in New York City. We are responsible for 37% reduction in gun violence in New York City. Yeah. We're responsible for a lot of people, formerly incarcerated brothers and sisters, getting jobs and getting back involved with their families, helping them heal, helping them stand back on their feet, helping these kids put their guns down and intervening in situations before the police even come into the situation. So when we talk about ending mass incarceration, when we talk about police brutality and police situations, we were able to directly impact them by directly impacting those most vulnerable to be victims of it, And so, there are things that work, and we want to keep raising the knowledge of those things that work and investing in those things that work and expanding those things that work. And I think that women play a large role. I know yesterday after I saw the school, there was a shooting near junior high school, and they had the whole school on lockdown.
Yeah.
And junior high school kids, like, they should not have to go through that going to and from school.
Right. My own son in high school, there's some kind of beef between a few kids at a neighboring high school. And so the police had to escort my son and his classmates to the subway on yesterday. Now, I didn't know anything about this because he told me matter-of-factly at home, yeah, we had to get police escort to the subway. And I was like, whoa, what? Say that again? What? He was just kind of, how kids, teenagers are.
Yeah.
It's just, but this is just, a part of their reality. Women's Convention, previewing it with Erica Ford. Erica, I wonder if you had a chance to hear what Sebastian Gorka said on TV, I think night before last. I want you to hear this, and then I'd like for you to react to his no good Sebastian Gorka, who was in the Trump White House. Take a listen, folks.
You do not make legislation out of outliers. Our big issue is black African gun crime against black Africans. It is a tragedy. Go to Chicago, go to the cities run by Democrats for 40 years. Black young men are murdering each other by the bushel. This is a social issue. Allow the police to do their jobs and rebuild those societies. Legislation will not save lives.
I assume what he's talking about is African Americans, but
yes.
That's not what you said. I couldn't figure out who these African
Americans.
Well,
so Eric, first of all, it sounds like you listening to a conversation in apartheid era South Africa, Black African.
Yeah.
But I also didn't know. I learned something today that we as Africans come in bushels. I didn't know we came in bushels. I'm glad I know that now. But there's this fixation on Chicago, and Eric, I was saying when we aired that earlier this morning, that it moves geographically from what I remember when, like you said, New York was the murder capital, then L.A., and I lived in D.C. when D.C. was the murder capital. It's just Chicago's turn now. I was saying, somebody was telling me they have drive-bys every day in Selma. Those are real drive-bys because the houses so far apart. You got to drive to shoot somebody. What we doing ain't drive-by. So it's just it moves from community to community. It's not unique to us though. Vegas was white on white crime, even though they won't call it that.
Mhm.
But Erica, at a women's convention, and you're going to have an audience, let's face it, of a mixed group of women.
Mhm.
What role, what contribution can women of other diverse backgrounds, including white women, what
Mhm.
contribution can they make? What difference can they make when it comes to gun violence?
I just want to say also that if you look at the gentrification that happened in those states that you mentioned,
Right.
and so now it's Chicago's turn to move black folks out of
Yeah,
Chicago,
yeah.
like it did in D.C.
Yeah.
and
Almost
LA.
by design. Make this happen, and then we can get y'all out of here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
We are very aware of why these violence happens in our community. But one is that they can realize that our lives are just as valuable as their lives, and that they also have to realize that if they give 1% of their time that they put into just doing legislation only and doing research only and moving it into, helping us reduce local violence in communities that can be more effective from their labor, then we might be able to make a greater impact on a larger scale. Because just working on legislation is something that is long term. And so while we do the long term fight, we have to do the short term goals. And so if we see something rising in Selma, what forces can we put in Selma to begin to change the trajectory of what's happening?
Right.
Because there's things that work. There's things that work. I know that in our target area, we've had 3 years with absolutely no one shot. We've had over 569 days. 3 years with no one killed. Over 569 days with no one shot. And so, and prior to us coming there, it was 4 people killed a year, 17 people shot a year. And so we made real impact. And so we can collectively, based on where they stand, make real impact. If you're a researcher, help us do research. If you are a grant writer, help us write grants. If you're an advocate, come out and help us advocate in our community to these parents, to these women, and help empower women around the world to help save our children, no matter who the child is.
Yeah, you're right.
But they got to be open to the idea that it's not just about mass murders.
And as I said, violence and gun violence is pervasive in every one of our communities. It's just the racism in America that doesn't allow people to see Vegas as endemic to white folk.
Right.
But like I said, when Rosanne Cash wrote that piece in the New York Times, country music singers said country musicians need to stand up to the NRA.
Yeah.
Because the NRA is targeting the country music industry to push its agenda, its consumers, and then they're victims of Vegas. The face.
And all of those people that fund these people, all of these people that put their money, let's go where the money is.
Yeah.
And let's begin to, there's so many of people who are, quote unquote, concerned about ending gun violence, then let's have a focused attack.
Yeah.
You know?
And not to mention, the face of the NRA is Dana Loesch,
Yeah.
Dana Lash.
It's that woman. And if women stop, if we had a day of absence of women in the United States, a day of absence, and just really no work, no school, no nothing, that means your kids can't go to school because you can't get them ready, you ain't doing nothing, we would get some responses.
Yeah.
Because we make up a large, population of the workforce.
You're right.
And so if they can't run, if their kids can't be taken care of, if the nanny can't get there, then everything stops.
You're right. Erica Ford, folks, will be at the Women's Convention. We look forward to seeing her there. A lot of great panels, a lot of great panelists, a lot of conversations. It's going to be a great weekend and historic as well. Erica, always good to talk to you. And I'm at your service. Hope you feel better, too. I think this weather's transitions going on, so I think we're all kind of fighting a little something. And Erica, we don't talk enough. And and listen, I don't want you to wait for me to invite you on this show.
Okay.
when you invite yourself, even if you want to call the morning of, is a conversation we need to have or an assignment you need to give
Yes.
us, you just call in and say, hey, I got to get on to say this. Okay, I mean that sincerely. That's just how I do it. You know,
Thank you, brother.
I'm not just here for me. So, and what you're doing and what Erica's one of the people on the front line, folks, trying to save our young people's lives. And all that means all of our young people. She is going to a women's convention to discuss issues. Well, see, we all get, boxed in and compartmentalized. You would, some of us wouldn't even think that necessarily gun violence per se would be an issue at a feminist convention, but it has to be, and it's all tied together. Because let me just say this. Let's say this quickly, though, Eric. I think we need to acknowledge this. Most folk, while there are a disproportionate number of mass shootings, more like one a day, most folks are being killed by guns in the home. And it's the male partner turning on the female partner, or the female turning on the male, or somebody shooting one of the children, or the children having an accident with the gun. Yeah. So if women decide ain't no more guns, this ain't happening, then that's the end of that, right?
That's facts. That's a fact. That is a fact. That's a fact. And we could do it. Like, I know a lot of times we get caught up in the fight is too large, we can't win. That's not true. We can. We have done it, and we can continue to do it. There was a time when stop and frisk, people thought stop and frisk wouldn't stop. They thought that people would never stop smoking in venues. People don't smoke anymore in venues. Like things that people, like, we need to change our mindset and really focus on victory, and we can win.
And we can get it done when we focus. We used to, nobody wanted to wear a seatbelt.
That's right.
When I was coming along with seatbelt, you wasn't cool.
Yeah.
If you wore a seatbelt. Now we wear seatbelts, I still text and drive. Most of you stop that. But we need to cut that out, too. I still do it because I'm good at it. But it's,
No, you're not good. You sound like me. You sound like me telling myself that. We are not good at it. So that's something that me and you going to commit to.
We're going to work on that. Eric and I don't have any other pathologies. We don't have to give up smoking and drinking, but we're going to give up texting and driving. Erica, we love you, and we'll see you in Detroit this weekend, okay?
All right, look forward to it.
All right, be strong. Thank you for all that you do. Erica Ford with us, folks. The Women's Convention. The Women's Convention coming up. We'll take a break. Sirius XM Progress 127, Resistance Radio. Get woke. Get ready for impeachment. Don't go away. This is MIP.